Tim, we've been talking about the difference of America and every other nation. It was traditional, medieval times, that you had a ruling class and then you had the serfs. You had everybody else. And the idea of wealth didn't come from what you created or what you accomplished. It came by what your last name was.
Right.
How is America different? What made the founders want to do something different? Because they were in the elite, weren't they?
Well, so it goes back to this notion of the laws of nature and nature's God, that they believe God revealed truth in two ways, through creation and through his word. And in creation and God's word, everything was individual responsibility. And actually, even the idea that all the founding fathers were elites, because I hear people say, well, they were all these rich, wealthy landowners. Well, you have to go no further than Sam Adams to realize they weren't all rich and wealthy. Sam Adams was an incredible patriot, incredible voice, a leader of the Sons of Liberty. That dude was broke, and every business venture he ever tried failed. When he was chosen to go to the Continental Congress, he was chosen because he was such a good communicator. He was so passionate and fiery about liberty, about truth, about biblical principles. But his community was embarrassed of the way he looked because he only had one suit, and it was ragged, and he only had one pair of stockings that had holes in it. They took up a collection for him. They bought him a new suit, they bought him 5 pairs of stockings, and the community was even kind of poor, and so he did not have his own horse or his own carriage. They didn't have horses to loan because they were using them on the farms. They wrote John Adams' cousin, and they asked John Adams if he would load Sam a horse, so Sam did not have to walk to get to the Continental Congress.
So what you're telling me is that he was judged on his capabilities, not on his birthright, his name, the money that he had.
Correct.
And so he wasn't an elite.
And among the founding fathers, you have some who were attorneys, you have some who were teachers or professors, some who were pastors like a John Witherspoon, some across the board, farmers. This was not
even Jefferson wasn't extremely wealthy. He had a lot of debts, didn't he?
Correct. When he married his wife, he, in today's dollars, would have been several $1 million worth of debt that he inherited. Back then it was over $100,000 that he inherited. And certainly, if you even look at the founding fathers, sometimes people say, but they were so wealthy. We point out, it's not just about who has money, which of course I am totally in favor of wealth, right? And obviously you are supportive in those regards, but it's what people do with their money. And when you look at the founding fathers, you have guys like Robert Morris, or guys like Haim Solomon. You have guys like Gilman, or I'm trying to think, there's a guy I should wrote a letter to, and his name's gonna come to me in a minute, but they literally use their money to fund their local state militias. And so their wealth is what allowed the revolution to go on, because at that time, Congress didn't have the power to tax, so they couldn't even fund the military. So the military was funded by individuals who took out loans and used their wealth. So people sometimes will point out, but they were wealthy.
They invested in liberty.
They did, and they were repaid with freedom, but they never got their money back.
Yeah.
So they
were promoting what we promote. We don't promote ESG, and I know you know a lot about
Absolutely.
ESG. We promote liberty, security, and values. People should be investing in those things. We hope they'll get their money back too. A lot of this ESG, I'm not sure they'll get their. So Leandra, perfect example, perfect ESG stock, and a complete miserable failure.
Correct. Yes. So Thomas Nelson Jr. was the name I was trying to think of earlier. He funded the militia in Virginia. But the point is, they pledged their lives, their fortunes, and sacred honors. And so the founding fathers come from a variety of classes, but this is where in the Declaration, the first governing document in the history of the world to make the claim that all men are created equal. Because under the king, there's lords and nobles, he gives them land, and the serfs and the peasants work for the lords and nobles, and they said, no, we're doing it different here. Because they understood God made us all, we're all created equal in God's image, and God doesn't have a hierarchy power structure of people. It was a very uniquely American idea rooted in biblical truth.